heroes.
And you might even have two now, right? Like the Weaver's been picked up as well. You go the Aghanims, you've got two ways to be able to save, not just in terms of obviously being low HP, but maybe even
10
just some of the
seconds remaining.
positioning on the Drow Ranger. It might give that little bit of an extra gap away that you need
5
to get that
seconds
marksmanship
remaining.
going again. Another hero you mentioned that they play the Death Prophet with it. I feel like this is a pretty damn good Undying game, and it's something that Ragdoll have done a good amount in the past. It just gives you a lot of that teamfight vision again against the Tide Hunter in lane, just helping the Drow Ranger to sit back and farm, and it gives you a lot of kill potential for the laning stage as well up against a strength hero. So I think it's going to
Dire
be
team
pretty
pick.
damn good if they're going to look to pick that one up.
Yeah, some like Melee 5, I think Clockwork as well fits that, because we saw what Menu Ping could do against the Bane, with just hunting him down and also limb support. But you just
Ogre
want,
potentially as well.
Ogre's another perfect example. Just a melee hero to put in front of the Drow,
Radiant
amplify
team
her a
pick.
little bit, and they do. So they go for one of them. What's the follow-up here?
I'm totally happy with Menu Ping Clockwork, right? Like, he was fantastic in that game. I was thinking, okay, maybe they might still go the Undying just because, you know, now it would be against
Dire
two strength
team
heroes in the laning stage. They're going to go on Mars. Okay, yeah, it seems fine to me, right? Just a lot of things this Drow Ranger as much as possible. Both if Army Geniuses are looking to pick up a ranged hero, like, let's say, a Medusa, not to say that you would against a Drow Ranger, but it just gives you that extra layer of protection where you can just look to
10
stand
seconds
behind the
remaining.
arena and just freely teamfight. There's nothing really stopping you from doing that. So
5 seconds
I'm a
remaining.
little surprised, to be honest, that they haven't gone ahead and banned a few more of these gap closes. Obviously, they've gone and picked up the Earth Spirit on Army Genius's side, but Storm Spirit's in the pool, Void Spirit's in the pool, Ember Spirit's in the pool. So they must be feeling pretty damn confident with being able to counter whatever the hell Army Geniuses are looking to go
Radiant
through
team
here.
ban.
Faceless
Okay,
Void.
don't hate that either. It does mean that you need to, in the later stages of the game, if it does get there, catch the Weaver inside the Chronosphere as well, if you're looking to go on to the Drow Ranger, or hell, any core, right? Because he's just going to be able to immediately time-lapse that one off.
Now, Danog, did you know that at one stage at one of my grandma's birthday parties, we pulled out the beer pong and I absolutely just destroyed everyone. There was just no messing around, no mercy. The mate that I got over there with the caffeine reimagined was able to give me the energy that I could just wipe the floor. And at your grandma's birthday, you really need that extra something just to really show no remorse at all. So if
So it was
if anyone's
Mate Pong, right?
100 with a little extra goodness in there, but that was off to the side. Like there was, we can speak about that later. Like the alcohol in the cups, but the mate at the start was really giving me the energy. And if you guys want that energy, then you can get 10% off by entering BTS Dota, and you can head over to bts.gg/mate now. There may be some shipping restrictions though, so keep that in mind. But have you ever had an opportunity where you can absolutely dump some people at your grandma's birthday with some beer pong?
Of course.
Yeah.
Anything. You know how competitive I am. I will make anything a competition. You know, it can be running to the end of the street. I'll want to win, even though I'm slow as hell. And, that's just me being scuffed Elon Australian Musk coming through here, according to people in chat. I don't see it, but apparently it's a thing. I've also been called scuffed Hugh Grant as well, which is a little bit more of a confident. He's a handsome man, but I don't know about that one. I don't think I look like anyone.
That's the one funny thing, that chat can come up with some real interesting comparisons. Like we've gone through a couple for me as well, and it's just so there's some BuzzFeed guy that someone brings up occasionally. I don't remember his name. It's funny. They get some interesting comparisons. But what are we looking for? We got back to the draft. It looks like both the position twos for either team is left available here.
I mean, it just needs to be something that's able to deal damage inside of the Chronosphere, right? So, I mean, they've taken out a lot of it on both sides, actually. Hell, even just having the
10
OD to be
seconds
able to, once
remaining.
you get the Aghanim Scepter, to be able to save, prevent the Weaver
seconds
from going any
remaining.
kind of time lapse would have been pretty damn significant. But I mean, what is even left in the pool in terms of a ranged mid matchup? I mean, you don't want to go full range that's like super susceptible if the Clockwork goes on to you.
Well,
They couldn't sniper, could they? Not against
Dire
us.
team
okay.
Stop.
We get to see Citrus, at least on a mobile hero. It's instantly answered by the Ember. So
Choose your hero.
Don't hate it.
it's
Sleight of Fist does still work in the Chronosphere, right? It's not like a Storm Spirit or a Void Spirit where if you're looking to commit for the majority of your damage, you're just going to get stuck inside the Chronos. So at least Slight's able to do something in that regard. And it also gives you that extra layer of gap close. Plus, this is the hill I'm going to die on. It is a good matchup against the Storm Spirit. It never seems to work out, but I feel like Azura is going to be able to finally, with this ability to respond finally to what Ragdoll are able to do, I feel like Azura is in a good spot to be able to take out a more advantageous mid lane than what we saw previously in game number 1.
It does look like a pretty good Ember game though. Like the lane is, but
lane is good. My concern is how they're actually going to kill the Weaver. That's my main thing, right? Like, where are the stuns or the silences outside of the Earth Spirit?
That might not be an issue though. Like I think Ember just has to get on the Weaver and just, if you can't Scepter Drow in the Chrono, then your job is done. That's Azura's job. Just get on top of the Weaver, or Lim get on top of the Weaver. I don't care who it is. Just make sure Yif doesn't have an opportunity to use the Aghanim's time lapse. Otherwise, that is your role here, because Void will fulfill the job of getting on top of the Drow. So just deal with the saving supports. So I think that's all you have to be worried about. I don't care if he doesn't kill him.
I feel like this game is going to be a lot of like Ember Spirit's very tanky, right? So he's just going to look to try and get in on top of the Drow Ranger in every single one of these early game team fights. That's going to most likely prompt a response coming through from the Storm Spirit to try and, use the Electric Vortex to try and stop that, enable VT Faded to move a little bit further away, get that space so that he can start dealing the damage through the marksmanship. And that's when Faceless Void or Tidehunter look to come in with their ultimates after the fact to try and punish that secondary save potential, because until Weaver has the Aghanim Scepter, you don't have a ton of that. And I don't feel like you want to use the hook shot on an Earth Spirit that's just diving your Drow Ranger. I feel like you need to be using that to try and prevent the Tidehunter from even joining the team fight.
How are we feeling? Do we feel like Ragdoll can take the series early on with a 2-0 start here, or is this going the distance here for Army Geniuses?
I think just in terms of team-to-team matchups, Ragdoll I would have slightly ahead of Army Geniuses, but this draft looks a lot better for Army Geniuses in terms of, ways that they've got to deal with this Drow Ranger, better laning matchups. I mean, matchups that just aren't a straight loss from the very beginning. So, yeah, I'm giving Army Geniuses a small chance, but probably Ragdoll still favored for mine.
Okay. So you go on the 2-0 route. I feel like that's just the... Is that the safe bet? I don't know.
Go on then. Go Army Geniuses.
Yeah, I am. Screw you. I'm going Army Geniuses.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the boys. I feel like you're a hater. They got 3 bounties, so pretty much can't be wrong now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're also going to see Yiv placing an Observe Ward, so are you sure you want to stick here with Ragdoll?
I stick to my calls. I am a committed person.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
I've never flip-flopped back and forth. We're going to see this one time Azura will, well, at least the Ember will finally dump to the Storm in a not the greatest matchup.
Oh, it'll definitely happen. But we'll see what happens there. I think as well, one of the other things that Azura is going to have the potential of, you saw the ward get placed, right? So that means that Azura is going to be able to buy his own sentry ward. So not only getting the experience from being able to pick that one up, but also the gold bounty from it too.
Any little extra advantage is going to be huge. Definitely not in a matchup like this.
I think he'll probably look to wait until around the 4-minute mark, just so that you're not going to get your own Observer Ward dewarded in response to that. Maybe just when he's going for the top water rune at that timer.
Oh. Top lane though, I really like how GY's looking to progress in his items, at least for the lane. He's got the Orb of Venom already queued up. It's going to be a great way to deal with the Faceless Void. Just these little instances of damages, and of course it works greatly with the God's Rebuke as well.
Yeah. Just lots of little bits of slow damage basically coming through is the way to stop a Faceless Void in the laning stage. So yep, completely agree. That's how they want to do it. Bot side, I want to have a look at how Menu Ping is going to look to play around VT Faded. I mean, look at his positioning here. Just this early on, you can afford to do this as a Drow Ranger because you don't have the levels just yet on both the Ember Spirit and the Tidehunter. So he's just positioning himself way aggressively in this lane, making sure that Wami gets as minimal CS as possible. Even just being able to use the frost arrows with the orb walking effect as well, not to draw aggro from the creeps.
This is one of the big benefits with the Drow and how you can get to a stage where you're able to just posture super aggressively in the lane.
Yeah, but then you've also got Lim, who's made a nice little pull, looking to try and reset the equilibrium a little bit. The downside for that is, though, that VT Faded is now going to be able to soak up all of this solo XP in the lane underneath the tower. So nice little bonus for them. No creeps to be able to, pull to be able to continue to keep this wave in a Ragdoll favorable position. But like we expected, Azura, he's having a better time this go around. Slightly ahead on the experience front. He's been able to, well, both of them are holding the water runes as well. Bot side, actually, VT Faded's in a little bit of trouble here. Still just level 1 on menu ping as well, so doesn't have the cogs to be able to keep them completely away. And they're actually out of regen as well, so only now is the salve actually looking to come through.
Well, Wami
They need to
sees a window. They also have to block Lim for the potential roll. He's going to try and wait for kick, but they've waited too long. First blood occurs up top, and Varese as well. It's going to be chased down. Oh, whoa. That's a nice play. Cute nightmare from Varese.
Radiant structures.
We'll be able to heal back up to a respectable amount with the self, so Varese should keep his life, but all things considering, you still find first blood. Lim's going to take a bit of a beating down bottom as well. If Menu Pink can get in a position to block the roll. I thought he was on top of the Earth Spirit.
Me too. He was just a little short on mana from the battery assault. He had that clarity ticking, and finally he's been able to deliver through the salve. Hopefully he stays away enough from the Tide Hunter so that the Gush doesn't interrupt the healing coming through from that. He will. And again, this is just more and more experience coming through from VT Faded. Just looking to deny himself through to the tower there was Lim. He used up his full toolkit. And again, it's just about bullying away Wami as much as possible. We've seen him put together a number of good games as this Tide, but I just don't feel like... I feel like Ragdoll kind of saw it coming, right? And look at this, like, even with the amount that they've been able to push him away, they're just trying to secure the kill on him.
Drow's really coming up for this kill. This is a heavy commitment on Wami.
Cogs is only 3 mana away.
Grab it up in short succession as... Again, is Wami laughing right now? He's pulled them completely away from the wave as top lane. Breeze killed under the tower. They're going to look to trade on Yif, but DB's unlucky and no bash picked up.
I'm not sure how favorable I am of that, right? Did at least he got the kill? Okay, at least VT Faded got the last hit onto it, but it was with a double wave that was there, pushing the entire time, so it's just pushed the lane further into Army Genius's favor. Wami's able to come back to the lane, farm up this double range creep wave, and he's still going to be in an okay spot after this all. So I'm not sure if that's the best sort of kill attempt that they could have gone for. I think you're very happy just as the clockwork to keep him completely zoned out there with the battery assault, preventing any kind of TP back to safety or back to the farm in the lane.
Mid lane, Zera's looking to go toe-to-toe here. They got the extra help with the supports, even Yif as well, looking to sweep on over from the top side just in case a further skirmish breaks out. So Lim is going to be neutralized here from the supports. They also get the D ward as well, so looking to really try and limit what Azura can get, putting a lot of emphasis on shutting down these power runes.
You have been
Azura, though, he's come into this lane with a much better matchup, like we were kind of expecting. Even getting the bottle refilled there by Lim. Kind of surprising that they're going for a kill here onto the clockwork, to be honest. They had a lot of creeps that they could look to play and farm around. You don't have any mana left now on Azura.
It's going to take quite some work here to bring down Clock, and it looks like, in fact, they'll turn it back around. Now, Citra's going to be cautious as well. Azura's used all his abilities and doesn't even find the kill. Now, he's the one getting pushed further and further away, but that kill is a little bit more difficult, so they go for the easier objective, which will be, in fact, the Bane. All the supports are dying, and I tell you what, your predictions are looking pretty good right now.
I think it's just, again, about that selection of where to go for the kill attempts. I mean, the one on the Drow, I would probably say was a bit of a mistake, but that time around, Army Genius is looking to go for that kill attempt when you had a very juicy wave that was just pushing right underneath the tower. Maybe the extra point in the Flame Guard was the extra damage that you needed to be able to take down the enemy in that kill attempt, but well, just opting to go for it and didn't really work out. I mean, they're going to need to go for another TP into this mid lane to refill the bottle, unless Azura is just going to look to use the bounty rune exclusively. I mean, at least he's got 2 in his own triangle to be able to play with.
Bottom lane. And your ping's actually going to get rolled on here from Lim, but so they don't have the greatest damage at the moment. And in fact, it's VT Faded that's outputting all the damage with the marksmanship procs. Azura's going to feel the importance to try and shut down Drow.
There's the mana.
But there's no mana once again as Menu Ping with these cogs just continuously being a nuisance here. And now it sets up for Citrus to get involved as well. I mean, silver linings is that Army Geniuses get their first kill of the game, but what's the price to pay here? Azura falling further and further back to their own territory. Lim's back up. He's going to try and look to roll in, disrupting Citrus. Even DB wanting to show up to the party as well, but they've killed off the Ember as if a bug in the night. I mean, they'll trade the position twos. GY's going to look to try and drop the ultimate. He just mirrors the movement of his own core in the top lane, coming down, using the first arena. I mean, Faceless Void's going to be hating life. He doesn't want to leave top, a lane that he's getting a lot of farm out. He comes down, provides some assistance, and he just dies straight away.
Yeah, that team fight selection not really there. And again, Azura, he's just looking to continuously keep the pressure up. But you don't have the Tide Hunter that's able to quickly join... sorry, not the Tide Hunter, the Faceless Void. He just uses his TP scroll. So he's even just going to have to walk all the way back to lane. He's going to lose additional waves of farm after that. It's just this big snowballing effect that nothing really seems to be working out for Army Geniuses. Even just the Bane having to claim those 2 bounty runes because, I mean, Weaver could have taken them. Yif went right past those double bounty runes that were next to the Dire Triangle. But at least Variz was able to claim them.
Well, I mean, it's a 2,000 deficit at the moment for Army Geniuses, but what are the next play we're looking for from them? They've got Chrono. Is that something that's going to be in the game plan coming up shortly?
But where's the damage come through after that, right? Like, I talked about the Sleight of Fist. At least you're able to do something during the Chronosphere, but he's gone for a lane-dominating build on Azura here with the Flame Guard. Obviously, it takes a lot for the Storm Spirit to go through that. You don't do anything inside of a Chronosphere unless it's a perfectly positioned one, and I feel like on Army Geniuses, you're just happy to get any core at this stage.
Yeah, I would not hate for them to just drop a Chrono on one, blow a hero up, maybe take an objective after that, but as soon as you use Chrono, I think Radiant then look to contest towers. They're already posturing for the top lane, which more than likely is going to go uncontested. But then mid is where that next onslaught's going to be. If you use Chrono and don't get a great conversion out of it, then Ragdoll are a team that will penalize you.
Yeah, absolutely. The fight selection's been on point during the past few months that we've been casting their games.
No mid lane, GY.
Really changing.
It's actually going to try and bring down Wommy. Still only level 6 on the Tide. So not too many points in the Kraken shell to offer some protection. Now Azura's the next target as well. He's got the Flame Guard for some magic absorption. Jesus Christ, that was close.
Yeah, has to go all the way back towards the bottom side of the map. I mean, at least they're doing some damage onto this tier 1 tower, but that's just damage onto a tower. That's not farm that DB's looking to pick up for himself. At least you've got the siege creep, I suppose, coming in, looking to put some of that pressure there. But you just see Ragdoll, they play around these siege creeps. They want to make sure that they're able to push with the effective heroes, and then you're able to respond to a lineup that doesn't have great tower taking potential.
They're going to look to try and dive the Mars under the tower with Arena still on cooldown, so he won't have a way to penalize this heavy attempt, but maybe the extra rotations, that's a way they can condemn Army Geniuses as 2 heroes, the most important ones as well, with the Void and the Ember taken off the face of the earth. And Citrus will find double, and this is all enabled because they killed the tier 1 tower top first before Army Geniuses could trade. That little skirmish we had mid forced Army Geniuses to kind of bring their forces, navigate them away from trading the tower. And now Ragdoll, they had a window. They could either bring all their forces bottom to defend, or they could go mid and trade, and that's not a favorable trade. So again, Ragdoll, just they're winning all these small things across the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, we're going to maybe try and get a kill here onto Menu Ping. It'd be a nice, easy one. But again, at this stage, DP has to take what he can get.
I'm mechanically
go. He's able to pick up that one. Didn't drop the Chronosphere either, which I found a little odd. I mean, the TPs were good positioned, but you had that Observer Ward placed there behind the Tier 1 tower to potentially scout out any kind of heroes that might be looking to join in onto the team fight. So a little surprising that DB didn't look to commit with that one. I didn't quite see. Maybe he was silenced at the time with the Mask of Madness.
Relentless.
I do like this item build though for Yif. He's working on the Atos. It's going to be exceptional versus the Ember, the Void. Even just Earth Spirit's pretty mobile as well. They don't have the greatest stuns, so you can always consider that. Yif's Weaver I saw in the qualifiers, he likes to go Aghanims a bit later in the game. He'll build some utility, you know, Atos, Solar Crest, Medallion, Urn, Spirit Vessel, whatever's needed, and then he'll think about going back into the Aghanims.
Yeah, for sure. And even just against the Tidehunter, right? Like, as long as you're not dealing damage to him, you could just look to lock him in place and prevent him from joining in with that counter Ravage super early on.
It's a pretty deep attempt here by himself. It's almost just sacrificing his life and, you know, fishing for a kill in the hope of one. But honestly, any kill you can get for Army Genius, you'll take that. Especially, they don't sacrifice anyone, no heavy commitment. DB's farming, he got the bottom tower. So honestly, the past minute or so for Dire is looking well. You know, they're getting to a position where they can contest the next fight. But that then comes to be asked is what are we waiting for Ragdoll? 4,000 net worth lead. When are they looking to, you know, take this next engagement and further their lead?
For me, it's probably around the Blink Dagger coming through from GY. He's pretty damn close to picking it up. Maybe they can wait for the Orchid as well on Citrus. He'll be level 12 or 13 at the time as well. Drow Ranger's just going to continue farming, and it's going to be up to VT Fated to join the fights that he feel is good. But there's nothing amazingly huge that's looking to come up shortly for him.
For Dire, it's going to be pretty counter initiation focused. Honestly, I think Tide has to go Blink next. Does he? Do you think he has to go Blink next to get on the Drow, or is just that going to be the job of the Ember and the Earth Spirit just to maybe push Drow away?
I feel like it is important, not necessarily just for the Drow, though. I feel like it's going to be super important for them just to get in position. By the way, hook shot on mid doesn't end up working out. Just to be able to get those silences going and the magnetize on the Earth Spirit, right? Just to make sure that you don't have that instant response coming through with the Storm Spirit or the Mars. They don't have BKBs yet, right? So I feel like enabling them as much as possible.
It's going to look to reveal the Blink, but the rest of the Army Genius once again playing around the Varese, so they'll turn. Beautiful use of the Fiend's Grip, locking the Weaver simultaneously. The rest of the Army Geniuses will focus down the core. That's a unstoppable streak as well, claimed for Azura. So all of a sudden this Ember is teetering around, you know, the second, third place in net worth.
And he's got his Maelstrom as well, so even more damage able to be dished out inside of that Chronosphere as well. Not even needing to pop it previously on DB. He's going for his own Maelstrom, by the way. So do they have any kind of magic damage protection on their side so far? Don't believe so. Not even a hood on any of their heroes. So it's going to be able to dish out a lot. That Pipe of Insight, if it does end up coming out, or the BKBs, aren't going to be doing much for quite some time.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
We've been seeing the praises for Ragdoll and their fight selection so far through the qualifiers and through the recent game. But Army Geniuses have done a really exceptional job to pull this back to a stage where they can contest this without a doubt. It's only a 2,000 deficit. They're going to look to try and make a play up top. They've got some incredible vision by their outpost. Ravage at the ready as well, but the Clock's going to be the one to start the fight. VT Fate is going to be cautious. And a choke point like this, it might be his demise. In fact, it'll be the Storms. Ravage combined with the Chronosphere to bring down Citrus. Now they'll look for any more stragglers as well, as DB bashes through and through as Menu Ping, the second on the agenda. But they're not done just yet, as Army Genius just can overwhelm the forces. And that, once again, is another incredible fight for the boys on Dire.
It is for sure. They've even got the double damage rune on the bottom side of the map. Not that they can really do too much with it outside of this mid-tier 1 tower. If they do look to commit to it, it's going to need to be pretty damn soon, though, because it's still early game. They've got low respawn timers, no big abilities committed there by Ragdoll's side. So yeah, they do end up actually retreating through here. Obviously feeling a little bit scared about all that.
Yeah, Wami needs some assistance. It's actually going to go for a straight heads out TP. We've had a couple of instances this game where People have just made it away. I like this though. You know Chrono's on cooldown, you know Ravage on cooldown. Radiant, they're not as cooldown dependent. So they can look to make a play.
Dire's middle tower.
Also know the Tide TP'd out, but Dire, this is such an important tower. They're going to look to keep it alive for as long as possible. Instantly, GY, he finds a catch on top of the Ember Spirit, but Varese, even better positioning. A nightmare to keep him alive. They're going to look to attempt to deal with the storm. The damage is there. DB flies over the top. A 2-for-1 trade. They're on top of VT faded. A successful tower defense as Army Geniuses, they've come to play in this game too.
What a play again, Varese. Just his positioning perfect that time around. Has see if GY is able to get away. He's got the Blink Dagger available, able to disjoint the Gush. Very nicely done, but he doesn't have the TP. Maybe just needs to do a few cheeky plays with that Tumbler's Toy to be able to get to safety. Into a little nook that isn't usually accessible.
I tell you what, the minute things in that fight, the save from the Bane and almost one of the supports, I think it was the Weaver, tried to block the roll, which I think he did in fact, was almost enough to keep the Storm alive through that grip. Just the supports and what they did is exceptional.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the roll was used onto the backline actually, instead of onto the Storm Spirit there. So they were trying to just stop anyone from interrupting Bane's Beam's grip.
So, Citrus gets nothing out of the Orchid. This menu pings out to safety. Still, Army Geniuses. And they feel the momentum starting to build up for them. They got Chrono Ravage at the ready. And the fact, again, that's a fight they won without ultimates. That is just, my lord.
That's on the back of Varese, man. Like, perfect nightmare and realizing that all of the stuns outside of the clockworks, because I believe he'd used hook shot top side. They're looking to make a bit of an impact onto Lim. They'll get it. So he was free to just stand there and channel the Fiend's grip, and great play by Lim previously to make sure that Clockwork couldn't get in range to be able to stop that. That was really the catalyst for them having a good team fight there.
GY, it's going to be in a bit of a trouble mid, but a commitment next to the tower. Something that Mars is not a hero they're looking to start on, but they do have VT faded tabs on him at the moment, so they're aware of his farming pattern. He's pretty close to BKB. This is going to be a huge item here for the Drow once she can complete it.
Now, the one thing that I am noticing about Ragdoll's map right now is that it is dark as hell. A lot of wards either expiring or being dewarded at around the same sort of time. So you're needing to put these more elusive heroes like the Storm Spirit up onto the top side to obviously push out the not so safe farm. You've got Weaver just standing around in the jungle for now, maybe trying to scout out any sort of smoke rotations that might be looking to come through. I think he could even try and put a little bit of pressure onto the lane on bot side if they wanted to pressure the tower a little bit, force a TP so that you know that there's not quite as much teamfight joining potential on the rest of Army Geniuses if you can force out, for example, a Faceless Void to TP down towards that bottom side.
This is going to be a scary next couple of minutes though when Dire can pick up their BKBs. When Ember's about to have his completed, DB as well is very close, just looking for the last component. So these two BKBs and how they're going to play off the back of this is just overwhelming Ragdoll. Pop BKB and just run at you mindlessly. Get on the Drow, waste the Storm's mana, and use these ultimates to their advantage.
And I feel like they learned very well from game one, right? Like game one, it felt like they got run over at times because Ragdoll were just able to continuously run at them and they had no vision. All of their vision was set up a little bit more aggressively, whereas in this game, a lot of them have expired at this point, but all of Army Genius's vision was in their own jungle to be able to catch out rotations like that one that we saw previously that ended up heavily in Army Genius's favor. So they, like you said, they are playing around these BKB timings. And I feel like they
feel down like bottom's in trouble. Atos to set up for Citrus to get involved here. Silence. And he'll tick out afterwards. Simultaneously inside the river. Army Geniuses with the two heroes showing bot. They're going to try and use this to their advantage. But Azura popping the BKB just to get the kill on the Clockwork and out the safety. Can this open up Roche? You got 4 points bugs. No, still ultimates they're worried about, so they'll look to reset.
Yeah. But still, I feel like you're happy with that on Ragdoll. It was that bottom wave, right, that I was talking about. The Faceless Void being tempted to go down and farm there. You feel safe, but obviously you've got so much burst potential with that Orchid. I believe, was Weaver there at the time as well?
At bottom,
the one
yeah.
that,
Yep.
yeah, he assisted with the damage. It's just a lot to be able to deal with in super quick fashion. So until those BKBs are available on Army Geniuses, they're going to need to continuously play a little bit more defensively. You've got one on your Ember Spirit now. Faceless Void looking very close to it. So I think he just needs to continuously play around the rest of his teammates.
This is the awkward stage in the game, though, where you're still cooldown dependent. Like, it's not late game where you've got multiple ultimates with, like, a refresher, where if you take a fight, and it's, you know, we've been speaking a lot about fight selection, but if you take a fight and you only get one kill, maybe on a support, with dropping Chrono and Ravage, Radiant are instantly going to go into Roche. And all of a sudden, they will get Roche and then probably 2 outer towers. So Army Geniuses have to convert on this next fight, or they will lose a lot of map control.
I mean, they're moving a little bit too early for mine. Like, the BKB is still coming out on the career. You don't know what vision they have on Ragdoll just yet. Finally does pick it up. And it looks like they might even just have Wommy hit into this tower on his own. He has to be careful that going in onto the right person. They'll reveal the BKB is up on the Faceless Void now. Who have we caught out here? It's just a couple of illusions for Citrus.
Come on, bait with the other one. Okay, just farm. Understandable.
So they've gotten something now, right? They've reached these BKB timers. They can be feeling a lot more
try
safe
and kill
to
the
be able to
clock.
go in here.
It's just a measly support. We've seen Menu Ping do this a lot. Just put himself in the compromise, the first one on the front line to try and eat some of the damage, eat the gank.
Might even just Roche off of this.
Can
It'll be
they?
slow though.
Yeah, I mean, Gush is nice and all.
It's an okay amount of damage. Let's see if Yif is able to scout it out. He's got the Swarm, of course, so you can do it from long
They
range.
know what's happening. They see Varese. If they can delay this for clock to respawn, surely, yeah, they will. Now Roche down to half. An early use of the arena, though, so they won't have it to be able to protect VT Fate. If the roll-in instantly cancelled. A great silence to push him back. Die, they need to reset. A lot of BKBs traded, though.
I think that's the big thing that they were going for. They were just trying to get some of these BKBs to be popped. But Army Geniuses, to their credit, they're not getting too antsy, right? Like, they realize how important this Roshan is in the context of the game. The first team that's able to pick it up just has so much more confidence in being able to push forward, take some of these outer towers, particularly the tier 2s, again, create more ownership over the enemy team's jungle. So you can't just go throwing out ultimates because it feels like you might be able to get one extra pick off. It needs to actually result in something. So the next smoke that we see come out, I don't want to see it just to kill a hero. It needs to be kill a hero plus an objective.
Well, it's going to be kill Weaver up top at the moment, which they should be able to do so with just 2 of the heroes. Simultaneously in the river, a further fight's breaking out on Wommy, who used the Ravage just before he dies, but you see the caution on Azura. With the BKB on cooldown, he's not heavily committing just blindly into that high ground, but now, with the extra reinforcements showing up, VT faded, he still has the BKB, a potential with a TP, but TP just a little bit too late. Chrono only clipping the clockwork, but still, they can probably go back to Roche. You don't have the Tide minus armor, but it's about a no, we'll go a third health down.
Oh, they're feeling a little conscious about it. I mean, the arena's back up again. BKBs are available once more for Ragdoll outside of VT Faded. Even looking to commit only with VT Faded and Citrus. A little bit keen there, and they've got complete vision that that sort of thing is happening. I mean, it's so unfortunate for Army Geniuses, right, that they just didn't quite have the damage to be able to take out that Mars with, you know, a right click or a slide of fist. So you had to use that Fiend's Grip to be able to get the last little bit of damage to potentially open up that Roche pit. If he still had that Fiend's Grip, you know, Drow pops BKB, you just grip it, right? And you're laughing because obviously Drow dies. That would only be her second death.
Oh no,
of the
Ragdoll.
game.
Don't run up the high ground without GY. Citrus will start. Oh, the Bane is not the best target to be in that position. I love the move. I think, honestly, you just need one pickoff and head into Roast. They're going to look for a second, though. Citrus has the capability to follow up from Global. You can get involved here. You got to get the... Okay, that should be enough damage. But that's beautiful. Like, you get the extra kill afterwards, and this is what we brought up earlier. Army Geniuses, you have to get a big fight with your ultimates committed. They're gonna lose Wommy as well. He just blinks in the river. I mean, he's got a Zero coming over. DB's off to the eastern side too. Even though Wommy's protected with the Ghost Scepter for some time, the marksmanship does so much damage without the extra armor.
This is a big ask to get
now
two
Void,
people.
I mean, you don't want to use BKB defensively, but he's forced to. And just everything not going well over here for Army Geniuses through the past couple of sequences. And they're going to keep
Got the vision
posturing.
as well. They got the high ground vision. It's nighttime. Like, wards are so much more valuable around this nighttime period. They've got that minus armor. Drow is dealing an insane amount of damage right now. They're just doing a great job in protecting VT Faded in a lot of these engagements.
They gotta go. They gotta go now. Aegis picked up on Citrus. He's gonna look to use this to his advantage. But a Fiend Script, someone needs to cancel. Menu ping, unable to do so, but the damage is still lacking. Keep in mind, the ultimate's about to come up shortly, but it might be too long as the hero is starting to crumble. They'll lose both the supports and DB. Well, he'll turn it back around. It's a Chrono one before, but we were asking the question of where's the damage? Oh, what a silence. VT faded. The tide just blinks straight into the silences. There's no way to turn it back around. The hero's starting to drop. They're on top of the Ember. The stuns are lacking, but the heroes and the damage is not. Wommy the next on the agenda. They'll chase him down behind the tree line. Is a goddamn takey tide. They'll get the kill in the end. But my god, Ragdoll, 8,000 net worth lead now.
Faded, you absolute monster. That silence was disgusting, and they made sure not to deal any damage to the Tidehunter throughout that as well, just to make sure you got the full duration of that gust through. You might end up losing the Weaver for it. I think you're totally cool with that, but the fact that they were able to kill... you still had 3 cores alive, right, on Army Genius side. Great Chronosphere onto 4. You had decent follow-up coming through from the Ember Spirit, but if that Ravage goes off, I feel like you could probably take that team fight. So that's the sort of thing that can completely just push a game which might have been slightly in your favor to being heavily in your favor. And the net worth chart and the win probability expresses that as well. An 81% win chance, says Gaben, towards Ragdoll.
I mean, there's still the capability in Army Geniuses to take a fight with some incredible ultimates, and I like this movement instantly from Varize. He's going to try and play some deep observer wards to maybe set up for a nice team fight around an objective they can take. Some choke point where it's going to force Ragdoll to be clumped up.
It's going to need to be another 40 or so seconds though until they're able to do it. I honestly don't think you can afford to do it until you've got the the Manta style on DB. Sure, he's got the BKB, but you don't want to be forced to use that to get out of just like a gust, right? Or an orchid. You want to be able to Manta that one off so you've still got that BKB for doing damage in the middle of these team fights.
Do it with flair.
It's been a big concern on how the heroes have been using their BKBs, especially Dire, because they are the ones that need to be on the front foot. Like, when you're against a Drow, you're always pressured to be up in her face, getting rid of the marksmanship, just stopping her from right-clicking, and whenever the BKBs are on cooldown, this really puts Army Geniuses at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, they even saw that at the time DB didn't have a TP scroll, so they were freely able to take that top tower. There's no way that you can kill them without the Faceless Void in my eyes. And, well, they're looking to maybe go for a bit of a smoke play themselves. They're all clumping up inside the Radiant jungle, so maybe waiting for someone to try and show in the lane. If it was me, I might look to maybe show one of the more tanky heroes, perhaps the Tidehunter on that bottom side of the map, try and bait them to rotate in, and then have the response, because you've got the vision advantage towards the bottom side, and at the end of the day, you will take that tower, especially now that the siege creep is pushing in as well, all right? Like, 30 minutes, put the Tidehunter there, get everyone else set up to be able to punish accordingly, but they're just backing up a little bit too much for my liking.
Yo, I like this item. Lads on Mars? I mean, Drow is incredible hero that works with Vlads. Just a little bit of extra protection. If you can survive the burst, it'll be in your favor afterwards. Azura, I don't know how much of a fan I am that Army Geniuses aren't playing around their wards down bottom. They've still got one on the higher ground where GY super disconnect from the team, but in fact VT Flame is going to blink aggressively. Where's the Weaver? The time lapse needs to be perfect. He's not fast enough. Lim with the silence to prevent them from keeping the Drow alive. And now this is all Army Geniuses as they're going to push Ragdoll further and further back. But Citrus is out of mana. They'll lose the Storm Spirit as well as another fight where the supports can set them up for victory.
Oh, nice little time walk there. Actually, will it be enough? Even with the use of the Shikuchi as well, I wonder if that extra damage coming through from the time dilation will end up taking him out. Oh. But that's what they needed, right? They even had the Manta Style there. Didn't even need to use it actually on DB, but just feeling like they had the confidence in fighting around their high ground. They had the vision advantage, they had the clump up, and great target prioritization. Again, I want to highlight Lim, you know, just forcing them to take a fight in one of those clumped up choke points and getting the silence in onto the Weaver. That's what he needs to do every single time. And how about the quick fingers from Varese as well? Getting that instant Fiend's grip off onto the Mars to force them to respond perhaps in not as ideal of a formation as Ragdoll would have been wanting to.
See, this is the nice thing from Dire is that you've got... Ooh, and you ping. It's going to be in a bit of a trouble here as the Radiant Cause still in the grave. They're coming up shortly, but Radiant, they're going to be under pressure with this deep dive. Unfortunately for the Earth Spirit, we'll get no extra assistance, so just one kill too many they were looking for. This is the nice thing though, Dire having these AoE abilities in the Chrono, in the Ravage. The slight chance that you catch the Weaver to disable the time-lapse save is definitely going to show in these fights. So his itemization on how he needs to go to kind of set up for the time-lapse has to be perfect. And it looks like he's got 8th lens queued up. Do you like this instead of something like a Blink?
On who, sorry?
On the Weaver.
I don't hate it. I feel like it's going to be, you know, somewhat versatile. It also gives you that little bit of extra mana regen that you might need to be shoving out waves a bit more. But the big thing for me is that, yes, the Force Staff is important against a Clockwork, which we're seeing on Varese here, and he's going into the Shadow Blade next. I want to see a BKB come out from him, right? Like, the only reason that they weren't able to just completely 100-0 that Mars, and yeah, it worked out for them in the end, but it was just because they got the silence through from the Gust. If you get a BKB on Varese, the only thing that's going to stop him channeling that Fiend's Grip is the hook shot.
Menu ping. Looking to start the fight with a hook once again on the Vanguard for his team.
He places the Observer Ward underneath the outpost, so they know they're there. Even these pro players make mistakes sometimes.
What is the key target here for Ragdoll through these fights? We've been putting a lot of importance on... Actually, hold that. Army Geniuses looking to smoke themselves as GY. Great positioning. He doesn't know they're there. Okay, blinks out. Ravage dropped. They've only clipped the Clockwork at the moment. So the Ravage force for nothing, DB. He's trying to find the angle for the Chronosphere. He'll get it onto 3 heroes, but the damage, it's not there as VT Faded still on the outskirts. A gush to push them back, and DB's got to retreat now with all the ultimates on cooldown. This could be the advantage that Ragdoll are looking for, but still they're being overwhelmed. VT Faded can start to dish out the damage freely. He's going to blink up once again aggressively. He'll rip apart the Bane. No protection in the arm, and now Citrus too. He's teetering on the edge of life and death as Tide is trying to do it all on his lonesome self, but now the rest of Ragdoll can look to get involved and win out in this skirmish, which will end up being a 4-for-1 trade.
I'm not sure what happened there, actually. So Varese, he Force Staff himself onto the high ground, and then he was channeling the Fiend's Grip onto, I believe, the Storm Spirit, but I think he stopped it. He didn't get silenced at all. He just stopped channeling it for whatever reason, and that enabled Citrus to get that little bit of extra damage off in the team fight to really turn it a bit more in their favor, and I think that's what the sorry was that he just put into the chat box there.
And we're just showing how much damage VT Fader can do. That one marksmanship proc just forced the Void to kind of stutter with his damage in Chrono, and they need some form of armor. They need AC. I mean, Void being an agi hero, so all this base armor is going to do nothing versus the marksmanship. And Tide's building into Refresher, but yes, that's nice in team fight, but if you don't execute your ultimates, there's a big concern.
I guess what Army Geniuses are thinking is that, look, if we take a prolonged team fight, it's probably going to go in Ragdoll's favor because a Drow Ranger, she could just sit there and hit, right? And you've obviously got the Weaver that's able to save if it's going to be a prolonged team fight rather than burst. So if you've got that double Ravage, you're able to take out the Weaver, you're able to take out the Drow before they can pop those key abilities, before they can even start to dish out the damage. So I can understand where they're going for.
Chrono Ravage all on cooldown, so a big window for Ragdoll to find the second roast of the game. This time they'll give it over to VT Faded. Oh, but Citrus gets the Aghanim shard. Oh no.
It's a lot of bouncy boys.
I mean, that with the drow. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. The extra 40 attack speed as well can't be underestimated. I feel like maybe the thing that is making DB not want to go into the AC is that, again, a bit more around that burst thing that I was just talking about, where he's gone for the talent where you're dealing, you have 120 more attack speed inside of that chronosphere. So AC, at least for yourself, in terms of your own damage, isn't going to do that much. So maybe he's thinking, right, well, at least with the Skadi, maybe I can get more damage through those sorts of means.
Dire. Refreshing out of the arsenal for Wommy. Got a pretty solid observer ward as well, as far out as they can get.
Trying to bait out some BKBs with the use of that time walk there. Obviously with the shard, able to just walk it on back. So Lim's going into the BKB. Again, it's nice as a as an Earth Spirit, just to be consistently using these spells during the team fights. It means that Drow has to focus you because no one else on the team is going to give you underneath that, kill you underneath that spell immunity. If they were to continue pushing into that mid lane, I feel like something like a Blink Dagger might have been a good item. You know, you just blink behind them, kick them back into the base, and then try and, you know, take them out while rolling yourself to safety.
Yeah, they need to get crafty in these fights, because now Radiant, when you can get set up in a push, just build that formation, put the Aegis here on the front line, it gets really awkward with how you start these fights, and they can't get really creative on Dire. Like, they don't have this skewer all the way back. Just a way to blow up a hero in that matter as well. I mean, second lives are one of the biggest counters to any team fight lineup, and the fact that Ragdoll have this available is really going to pay dividends here through the next couple of minutes.
And they really do play quite heavily around VT Faded, right? Like, just have a look at GY. He's gone for the Arena of Blood, grants a little bit of regen as the level 25 talent instead of the God's Rebuke crit. He just wants to stand himself on the front lines.
Zura. It's going to look to start. I know VT Faded's a pretty hard objective to bring down at the moment, but a beautiful Arena places Wommy in a compromised position where he can't get on top of VT Faded. So a free pick off. They'll claim it with the Earth Spirit. They're looking for more as well. If they can blow up the Tidehunter before the Ravage with the Kraken Shell coming into play, it's not going to matter. A Ravage completely wasted and he doesn't have a buyback, and Radiant will continue to stick their ground. They need a way to deal with Varese, and there it goes instantaneously. As Ziff on point. A time lapse out to safety, but not with the buybacks. They're looking to get involved once again from DB, but they still got to be cautious. The Aegis advantage as VT Faded. She just turned Dire's territory into their own. Chrono, really the only ultimate left for the instant hexes. Citrus putting so much work in this game. They can continue to beat them down as DB. He'll time walk to safety, but their hopes and dreams of turning this game back around will end. Oh, DB's... Oh, he goes back in! DB? Okay, maybe he's baiting. Azuri is going to join him as well. We deal with the Aegis. Citrus is falling low on mana too. And VT Faded has been a one-man wrecking ball so far these fights. And that's going to continue on. A Drow often caring about being on the front line, but VT Faded level 26, top of the net worth, and he's going to work.
Marksmanship chance as well. Every second hit, it's going to be a marksmanship proc, and they've been doing a fantastic job of just keeping them away from him. He's able to sit back on these backlines and see. Just look at GY's positioning. He's not worried about dying. He's just like, all right, I'm a level 25 Mars. I've got that extra regen coming through from the Arena of Blood. I've got the Cloak of Flames. I've got the Black King Bar. I just deal damage passively.
Ravage from Wommy, not enough for Citrus and both GY. Beautiful timing in their BKBs. He's going to buy back at least. The rest of the heroes are going to respawn shortly. VT Faded's going to try and not give them the opportunity. They'll refresh a pop. Controls on point. A die back for DB, and I mean, Ragdoll, they are such a threat here. in this season. I know it's only the first series, but this open qualifier team just steamrolled through the first qualifiers, and they looked incredibly strong in their opening series as well.
Absolutely. I mean, they look nuts. And, you know, there's a reason that I went for them in the predictions for game number 2. I know you were trying to swing me a little bit further in their way because
what
of
are you talking about? I went Ragdoll.
Yeah, roll the clip back. Come on, let's see it again. But yeah, such a strong team. They play around each other very effectively. And even though there was that period where, you know, a few things didn't go their way, and I feel like it was the same in game number 1, right? It was around that 15 to 25 minute mark where the other team's able to get back into it in a few ways, but it never really felt like Army Geniuses really made them pay for it. Like, sure, you were able to get a couple of kills, but what did it result in? You weren't able to convert into Roche because you didn't itemize for minus armor. Even just like an Orb of Corrosion could have potentially helped on top of the Tidehunter Gush. And when they were getting those kills towards the bottom side of the map, they decided to chase a position 5 Clockwork instead of taking a tier 2 tower. They had no glyph, taking away the outpost, taking away some of that that map control, and then maybe playing around that a little bit more because that's where you would have been in safety a little bit. So looking pretty damn effective there. And I think we've also got an interview coming up. Is that right?
Hopefully, we're trying to set one up. We will jump in that channel while we wait real quick. But it's I mean, what a performance though. For the boys on Ragdoll are looking so incredibly strong. It's because again, this is a team that we got to see before DPC, and they were kind of just a group thrown together. I know VT Faded and Arjit or Citrus really like playing together, and then you have kind of the experience from James or Yif coming over from China, Menu Ping being a little bit more of an unknown 5 as well, but man, they're looking
eHome
really
connection,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Like at least 3 of these players have played on eHome at some time in their career. So clearly they like playing together, and if they're going to keep giving us results like that and gameplay like that and a clear like win condition of what team fights are effective and what hero kills are effective in terms of what it can actually result in, then you know, I'm on board for the Ragdoll supremacy.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued who's the shot caller for them, because it looks like their fight selection is really on point. I mean, this is coming. It's got to be off the back of their wave clearing potential, just to set up vision across the map and make it obvious when the enemy team's making a play. You know, Menu Ping on what he's doing on the map with, you know, blocking smokes, dropping deep observer boards, just getting that information. And it really feels like Ragdoll a majority of the time at getting their fight that they're looking for. And I think that's a promising thing for a team like this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great stepping stone for them. You know, like I said before, it is the first game that a lot of these players have played in the new and improved DPC ever. So the fact that they've got it off on a strong foot, especially the only Chinese players as well within the Southeast Asian region as well, at least representing their country in both James and Menu Ping. It's going to be a nice little springboard for them, hopefully, to even bigger and better things once they come up against the opponents that they're more likely to be facing for some of those top 2 positions in Division 2 of this TPC.
Still keeping tabs on if we will have an interview or not, but for Southeast Asian Dota, that is not all we have tonight, man. We got we got some action going on. I mean, we got a little bit of time. I'm sure we can speak about the series coming up shortly. I mean, the first one's going to be the most exciting. TNC versus T1. Some expectations heading into it?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? The most recent tournament that a lot of these teams participated in was the Manila Masters. Obviously, T1 wasn't there, but TNC was. Didn't look all that impressive, has to be said. You know, obviously it's a new team that's come together. A lot of young players. TNC have gone for this idea of wanting to build around a young core group again with a more experienced support head in Febby to really bring them across the line. They've done it in the past with players like Gabby and Armel, and they just want to replicate that success. So it might be a little bit of short-term pain for long-term gain, because T1, they're just coming fresh off of an 8th place at TI. Very respectable, representing the SEA region. And I think it's probably just going to be business as usual for T1, at least in my eyes. And then you've got Execration coming up against Motivate Trust. My personal favorite, you know, Motivate Trust, they'll be feeling a little bit scared now that Boom have obviously been bumped up to Division 1. I think they really were feeling like that third spot, at least, was up for grabs for them to be able to sneak into the first major of the season. But things have become a lot more difficult up at the top for them. So let's see if they're able to take out this series that a lot of people would probably expect that are going to be favoring, Motivate Trust super early on.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting doubleheader, which the games should be kicking off in about an hour, with us closing out early tonight. We will unfortunately have no interview as well. So we're going to kick this one to a close. But yeah, guys, keep in mind we got two series later on. It's TNC up against T1 and Execration versus Motivate Trust to start us off for Division 1. But for Danog and we will be done for tonight.
Before I go,
Yes.
Before we go, I do have a point.
Okay.
Stick around on the stream because it's going to be on Beyond the Summit as well for the Division 1. So obviously you want to stay here. But for everyone that's still watching, they got a few followers from it last time. But if you liked what Ragdoll put forward, follow them on socials because they need it. They're obviously wanting to push out a lot of good content. They've got some great players. They seem like a great team where they're able to go through together. I know on Twitter we bumped them up from double digits to triple digits. They're just above the 100 mark now. But let's see if we can, increase that a little bit further because they're certainly a team to watch out for, not just for this season, but for the seasons going forward.
Ragdoll. The Open Qualifier team, an incredible start here for our winter tour, able to take their first series in convincing fashion, 2-0 fashion in fact. But for us here in Division 2, that's going to be it for tonight. Stick around though, more on the Beyond the Summit channel. We got the double header for Division 1.